Hey folks, Rob Daniels here from the movie, TV, and video game soundtrack program Visions in Sound. I can be found on visionsinsound.ca as well, and a bunch of other places, but we'll get to that in a bit. Today's my birthday, so today is a birthday bonus. See, birthday bonus comes up on the screen like that when I go that. Ooh, kind of cool. In any case, this is my birthday bonus. And yes, today happens to be my birthday. So what I'm going to be doing is presenting to you a favorite score that in a lot of cases, I don't know if people have overlooked this one, but I think it should be definitely heard. And that is the 1985 film Lifeforce. Yeah, Lifeforce, done by Henry Mancini. Now, there are going to be people out there to go, wait a minute, Henry Mancini? You know, Pink Panther Henry Mancini? Yeah, that Henry Mancini. The film itself, or the score itself is really good. And Henry Mancini cut his teeth on very early sci-fi films, stuff like It Came from Outer Space, or It, the Creature from Outer Space, or something along those lines. But yeah, he did a lot of those early B pictures. So that was his kind of early days. So to have him come forward for the 1985 Lifeforce was pretty cool. But yeah, the score itself, okay, you have to kind of come at this from two perspectives. And this happened a couple of times during the 80s, especially during 85 for some reason. British films, stuff that was shot in Britain, Legend being a perfect example of this, Lifeforce also being a perfect example of this, when the American, well, for Legend, it was a bad test audience that got Ridley Scott to shorten the film and change the score. But it was the American distributors, and this is a Kamen film. Lifeforce is a Kamen film. And if you know any of the history of Kamen, they're kind of like, well, they throw money at a lot of different projects. Whether or not they actually got done was a different story. There's I might link to it, but there is a great show reel on Facebook, or not Facebook, on YouTube right now. And it shows a lot of movies that never got made by Kamen and stuff that's like, you have to scratch your head as to what's going on here. It's actually pretty cool. And I'll see if I can link to it. In any case, or I'll put the link in the description. How about that? We'll talk about that. In any case, Lifeforce, great score, great opening. You know, great stuff. Love it. The rest of the score, kind of goes off like a tone poem. And if you're not familiar with what a tone poem is, it's a specific piece of music that follows kind of one specific topic throughout the entire score. So yeah, you hear this kind of music weaving through the score. It's really cool. And again, I mentioned before that there were two releases of this film. There was a theatrical release that came out in 1985, and there's also a DVD release, and it came out in 2006. I think the DVD came out then. In any case, when it came out, it showed that there were scenes cut. There was a whole bunch of other stuff that was moved around. Now, at the time, Mancini could not come back because he was working on Santa Claus the movie to rescore any of the scenes that were happening. So they brought in another composer, Michael Kamen, who was kind of just starting out. He'd just come off of a couple of big films, The Dead Zone being one of them. But yeah, he was brought in to do a bit of scoring as well. And there's a few minutes of, well, more than a few minutes, but there was some music on the score. So yeah, it's on this release. But yeah, it's, for me, the Mancini score is what should have been used in the film. And when you see the extended release, which is I think about 15 minutes extended, you understand why. But, again, at the time, Mancini couldn't come back, so they had to do something with the film when they re-edited it for the American audience. Regardless of this, it's what happens in the industry, unfortunately. So yeah, I do have to address, I guess you could say it's the elephant in the room, I don't know, but I have to talk about Matilda May. I believe this was her first film. She didn't speak any English. She read all her lines phonetically. Now, she learned to speak English afterwards. But she is essentially what the film is remembered most for. I mean, yes, the Tobe Hooper directed film, it has some fantastic special effects, some great stuff, but I won't say it's overshadowed, but when a woman with the body like Matilda May walks around naked most of the picture, it kind of it kind of draws attention away from the main source. But yeah, there's that. Now, also in the film is an actor by the name of Steve Railsback. And if you're not familiar with the name, you might be familiar with another role that he did, and that was of Dwayne Barry in The X-Files. The man has an interesting voice. He also screams really well for as the character. It's an interesting movie. I'll just say that. It's an interesting movie. Also in this movie, a pre-Next Generation Patrick Stewart is also in this film. So to me, I like it. It's a fantastic film. I watched it the other night, and yeah, it's a little bit goofy and campy in spots, but it keeps to the vampire lore. It actually kind of takes the whole space thing and brings it into the vampire lore. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a great film. Again, going back to the whole score by Mancini, yeah, great theme by Henry Mancini. I actually first heard it on the release, Eric Kunzel's Cincinnati Pops. It's called Star Treks 2. And if you can find any of these Eric Kunzel releases out in the wild, by all means, find them. Hold on to them, because they are really good. Especially if you're getting into soundtracks and you want something that kind of gives you an overall view. Yeah, Star Treks 2, Time Warp. There's a bunch of other ones done by Eric Kunzel. He was kind of instrumental, no pun intended, in getting me started on soundtrack collecting and that sort of thing. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of really cool soundtracks that he covers. But yeah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Lifeforce. So yeah, Lifeforce. Fantastic film, fantastic score. It was re-released. The BSX came out in 2006. It was released as recently as 2022 on the Entrada label. So both Mancini's and Kamen's score was that. So yeah, it's a score that's definitely worth listening to. That's all I'll say. The film is actually pretty good too. Great movie. Fantastic movie. Fantastic B movie. It's one of those movies that you can kind of put in and it's a good movie. Not a so bad it's good, but it's a good movie. I mean, yeah, Railsback's performance is over the top. There's Matilda May, who's naked most of the time. Again, I bring that up. And Patrick Stewart's in it. There's some really fine British actors in this film. So yeah, get out there if you can find it. It should still be available on the Entrada website. I'm not sure on that, but if it isn't, see if you can find it. I actually just recently, I wish I'd picked this up, found a copy of the vinyl release, the Verez release, that it was first released back in 85. I wish I'd picked that up. I saw it and I said, I'll come back later. And when I came back later, it was gone. So one of the things I will say is, if you're going to go out and look for a soundtrack to, or if you find a soundtrack out in the wild and it's what you want, pick it up right away, because you never know. I mean, you never know that somebody could just snipe it on you or take it away from you. Also, if you're interested in any of the film, television, or video game music that I do play on the show, by all means, you can try me at Visions in Sound, 12 to 2 a.m. every Saturday morning on 98.5 CKWR. You can also try my website, visionsinsound.ca. I'm on the Twitter at Visions Sound. You can also try me on my Good Pods, downloadable app for your phone or other type devices. And I can be found on many of the other podcatchers out there as well, including Apple Music. So folks, like, share, and subscribe. Happy birthday to me, I guess. And have yourself a great week. We'll see you next. Bye for now.